Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, in this video I want to talk about a long time theory that a lot of people had, or not necessarily a long time theory, but I should say probably like some quote unquote fake spoilers that I did see probably like a month ago. Now this right here was like something very elaborate. Not a lot of people actually believe these spoiler leaks. There was like a whole paragraph or something like that. I don't necessarily have the paragraph on me mailing because it was like a month ago, and theory times that right there is damn near a long time ago. But regardless, I want to kind of talk about this idea in regards of like a theory. The anime owners out there, if you guys don't necessarily want to be spoiled in regards to manga content, I'm most likely going to be talking about some manga content, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled, thanks for supporting. Now the first thing I do want to point out, I had this idea for a very long time. Like, it was so realistic, I talked about it in my chapter reviews. Now just to explain the premise, it's pretty much going to be Boruto with the rest of Team 7 versus all of the shinobi race. Now this right here pretty much spans from the fact that of course Boruto has Momoshiki Otsutsuki inside of his own body, and it's very possible that at any given time, or for other people at any given time, Boruto can actually be taken over by Momoshiki Otsutsuki. I thought this right here was going to be a very critical time when they got back from the mission versus Ishiki Otsutsuki. Now at this particular time, if you guys do recall, Boruto went completely crazy. Momoshiki took over Boruto. BoruShiki took out Sasuke's eye, and this right here hadn't necessarily been the first time that Momoshiki actually taken over Boruto, but this is the first time that Momoshiki was actually hostile to people from the Hidden Leaf village. And of course when they got back to the village, I thought they'd obviously have to debrief pretty much everybody else, especially the other Kages, but that right there didn't actually happen. I thought that right there it would have probably been a very big problem with Boruto, but after that the only real point of contention at that particular time was the Kages, or especially Gaara, asking Naruto, if worse comes to worse, are you willing to actually kill Boruto? Naruto's kind of hesitant, but of course he agreed later on in the end. But I think that right there could have definitely sparked something absolutely huge. Now here's the thing, I think it still can possibly spark something huge. One of the things that we understand is that when Boruto is completely depleted of a lot of chakra, Momoshiki has the liability to actually take over. Now obviously Naruto and everybody else aren't necessarily going to put Boruto in the position where he's going to lose a lot of chakra now that they know his triggers, but there's still a very good possibility that Boruto is probably going to find himself in a situation where he's probably going to be liable for Momoshiki to actually take back over. If Momoshiki does a lot of damage before Boruto takes back over, how is that response going to be from the shinobi world? Obviously most of the shinobi world, they know the terrors of an Otsutsuki clan member, especially when Ishiki Otsutsuki came the last time. If you guys do recall, Boruto was pretty much being held as like a celebrity for actually getting him out of the village, so obviously that right there was very critical. Not only that, Momoshiki and Kinshiki attacked the Chunin exam, and of course the Chunin exam is supposed to be a very huge thing that's watched by like all of the 5 great nations. So at this particular point it might not seem like it, but a lot of people in the shinobi world right now are damn near deathly afraid of Otsutsuki clan members, and if they find out that Boruto himself has an Otsutsuki member in his body, it could possibly be very bad for Boruto. So even though it has not happened yet, I still do believe that this scenario is extremely realistic, like having Team 7 versus the whole world. One thing that we do understand is that Sasuke wouldn't necessarily hesitate to actually kill Boruto. We've seen that from the fight when BoruShiki actually took out Sasuke's Rinnegan. Sasuke actually used Amaterasu on Boruto. Now at that particular time he probably understood that the Karma Seal was actually able to absorb chakra, but I don't know, something inside me makes me think whenever Sasuke says I'll actually kill you Boruto if I have to, I actually believe Sasuke. But for the sake of this video, I do want to talk about a possibility of Team 7 versus the entire shinobi world. How would that look, and who would actually win? Now I think off the rip, like let's just say it's going to be Naruto, Sasuke, let's throw Sakura in there as well, Boruto, Mitsuki, Kawaki, and Sarada. Those 7 ninjas versus all the shinobi race. I don't know guys, I might have to go with Team 7. Now here's the thing, we see what Madara looked like when he pretty much ran through the 5 great nations or the Shinobi Alliance. Of course he didn't necessarily destroy all of them, but he came damn near close, and Sasuke right now, even without his Rinnegan, is stronger than that Madara. Now I'm not necessarily saying that the shinobi race on face value is the same as back then. Some people might even argue that it's weaker. So I personally believe just Sasuke alone is probably going to do a lot of damage, but then you add in Naruto, then you add in Boruto, then you add in Kawaki potentially. It's just too much firepower for the shinobi race in my personal opinion. Now here's the thing, here's going to be the wild card, cyborgs. The thing that I keep stressing in videos is the fact that Amato said that a lot of technology that he has didn't necessarily come from him. It came from other scientists. Now specifically, we don't necessarily know exactly which scientist he got all of his information from. We do know one scientist from the Hidden Stone Village that was actually an outsider of the Kata organization. There could potentially be other scientists from the Hidden Cloud Village, from the Hidden Sand Village, from the Hidden Mist Village that actually fed him all of the information needed to actually build cyborgs. So again, there could possibly be cyborgs Naruto or Sasuke level or even Jigen level in other villages, and I think that right there would probably be the biggest downfall to a potential Team 7 versus the other 5 great nations or a 5th Shinobi World War. So again, if that is the case, hypothetically, if there's a code level ninja or multiple code level cyborgs scattered across the other 4 great nations, I personally think there was definitely no way that Team 7 could possibly win in a situation like that. But now here's another thing. Let's just talk about a realistic possibility. I personally believe if there is a Team 7 versus the world, I think a realistic possibility would probably be like Boruto, Naruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki versus everybody else. I think there's a very real possibility that if something like this does actually go down, Kawaki and Sasuke and Sakura probably would not stand by Boruto and everybody else in this war. And obviously, if that's the case, the Team 7 that's left most likely will not win. But because of the sake of how realistic I think the possibility of everybody in the Shinobi race growing to hate Boruto because Momoshiki is actually inside of Boruto and potentially can take over at any given time, I do want to give a kind of realistic situation or a realistic idea of how I think this can actually play out. A lot of people has been talking about how Boruto can potentially go rogue in the future. I think this right here could definitely play out in the future because Momoshiki is inside of Boruto, and in fact Boruto can potentially even be a target in the future because other people are going to be so deathly afraid of Momoshiki Otsutsuki actually reviving. If Boruto actually goes rogue because of a situation like this, I don't think that Naruto would probably oppose Boruto. I think that Naruto would probably be on Boruto's side until the very end, until Momoshiki actually revives himself in Boruto's body, which again, I personally believe is probably going to be super unlikely because of course the show is called Boruto, but you never know. The show might end with Momoshiki taking over Boruto and everything just goes completely downhill after that. But regardless, I think that Naruto is definitely going to be on Boruto's side till the end. And of course, the first scene in the first episode, Kawaki himself may actually be fighting on behalf of the other 4 great nations and trying to protect everybody from Momoshiki Otsutsuki's potential revival inside of Boruto. For example, I talked about how Naruto would most likely be on the side of a Boruto. We understand that Kawaki at this particular point loves Naruto, wouldn't necessarily do a thing to Naruto, but if something like this goes down and Naruto's actually on the side of Boruto, Naruto is trying to protect Boruto, I think Kawaki would probably have no chance or no choice but to go through Naruto to then actually get to Boruto. But in conclusion, I definitely think this theory is super realistic. I think that this right here could possibly be even good for the overall series of Boruto, mainly because a lot of people wanted to go back to Shinobis versus Shinobis and not necessarily them fighting against cyborgs and them fighting against aliens, things like that, even though I personally don't mind it. But I think if a Team 7, like full Team 7, we're talking about including Kawaki, including Sasuke, including Sarada, including everybody like that, I think they could definitely beat the entire world if they do not have cyborgs on their side. And when we're talking about the more realistic side of Team 7, I don't really think that that's going to be good enough to actually take down the world. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below and give me your opinion. Do you guys think that this right here can actually be the case in the future? In my personal opinion, I wouldn't even necessarily mind a mini arc where something like this actually does happen, where some internal disputes within the Shinobi race. I don't know, maybe like a 12 chapter or probably like a 25 episode arc. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. It's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.